Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the special edition of Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching this video, please give us a 5-star rating and please give us a thumbs up. Same with you listening on subscription. So I was wondering if you're thinking, why the heck are we back on the America's Got Talent stage? Well, it's the postseason of America's Got Talent, and I'm welcoming back some of my favorite acts from this season. So up first for episode 190 is a ventriloquist. He was one of the top 5 semifinalists of this season of AGT with over, as of this recording, 7,000 Instagram followers and 1.2 million TikTok followers. So please help me welcome Jack Williams to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you. That was a great introduction. I really felt it. I felt like you were talking about somebody else for a second. I was like, wow, that's me.
Jack, it's a privilege to have you here. Thank you so much. You were one of my favorite acts I kept an eye. I told my audience to keep an eye on, and I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. It was one of those things where I have always tried to be on this show. I think just like almost every other act, I'm sure it wasn't their first time auditioning for the show. You just gotta get better and better and have them kind of remember you know? So it was awesome to finally even be able to just be on the show.
You said I want to go directly to that comment because it sounds like you've been auditioning for years.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think the first time I auditioned for the show, I was probably like 14 or 15 years old. And I remember I went to the open call audition with my dad in St. Louis with a dummy, and I think I had this routine where I said the alphabet and I brushed my teeth, and I didn't make that one, but I'm honestly glad that I didn't make any of the ones that I auditioned before, because I don't think I would have been as ready, like not nearly as ready. Even now, looking back, there's so many things I would have done differently. But for what I did, I think I did it how like the best I could have done with it, you know?
I totally agree. So I want to go back to the audition, get started because the thing is, I really enjoyed your audition because you smuggled out Foster, your friend Foster, and you
Yes.
hear his voice and you switch voices. That led to all 4 judges on their feet and getting your first unanimous standing ovation. So what did that mean? Receive that not just from the Pasadena Civic Center, but from all 4 judges.
It was honestly wild. I really didn't expect that at all. The night before, I was going through all these scenarios in my head of like, okay, what's going to happen if I get X'd by somebody? How am I going to react to that? What's going to happen if 2 of the judges like me, 2 of the judges don't like me? And I just kept playing out all those scenarios in my head just so I would be prepared no matter what happens. And so when they all were on their feet, I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting that. Was like the best case scenario response. And it was just really cool because it just felt like everything was kind of going right. Like every moment was kind of like hitting in that first audition. And there's a lot of stuff in that audition that they actually cut out for TV and for the YouTube clip that I wish they kept in there, because it was some really like other funny bits that I feel like helped get that reaction from the audience as well.
Like really? So this is the first time in Jake's Take history because as everyone knows, I've been covering the show since 2012, and this is the first time that contestants actually said there was some stuff on the cutting room floor.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the thing is there's a specific time, like amount of time that you have, and I think that they just wanted to cut it down so it wasn't as long. Because I know for the first audition they were more lenient on the time, whereas like for the semifinals, it's super important to be on that like 3-minute mark because of the commercials, because they go like right to the commercials right after your performance.
Absolutely, and I can tell that. Let's talk about the semifinals because you introduced Dale, but however,
Yes.
Foster wasn't having it,
No.
and he would. And I gotta give Brian Burke, who's the creative director of America's Got Talent, and his team created credit because I love seeing you on one part of stage, and then Foster on the other. So, how long did it take you guys to create that semifinal?
Dude, you know it's so crazy is I probably had something completely different planned. For like months, I had it where it was Foster was initially in the audience, and I didn't know where he was, and it was like he was heckling from the audience. But on the day, like when we're prepping for the show, like the week beforehand, I just kind of thought logistically with the camera and how everything's set up. Like I almost want the audience to be able to see Foster from the get go. Like so he's just so people, the judges can see him, the audience can see what's going on, and so that changed to have him right there. And with some of the other producers and creative directors' help, that happened like within probably like 4 days prior to my performance. So I had to completely change it. I had a completely new beginning to my act that was no longer I was no longer using. So I just had to go home and just kind of memorize a whole new beginning and just practice. I probably practiced like I want to say like 12 times like a day just to have that like down,
I gotta say, that's amazing. A 96-hour notice to switch a whole plan around.
Yeah, it was, but honestly, I think it was a really good idea. The recommendation to have him just there, I think played out way better than if he was in the audience. Because I think having him right there it was just like so much more. I don't know, like I feel like it connected more with the audience than him just being like in the crowd somewhere. Because then I feel like it would have confused people. So I'm glad that they decided to make that change.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's been very interesting with Sophia holding Foster.
Yes. That would have been really funny too. I think, maybe I even thought about maybe having him under like near the judges or anything like that. But the honestly, the hardest part was I was concealing this remote that was controlling Foster. So I was doing the his mouth. A lot of people thought it was somebody backstage. Like they thought that somebody else was controlling him, but it was like I had to hide the remote under Dale, and so I was controlling him while I was doing all three voices and controlling him at the same time. So that was the biggest learning curve, was doing that at the same time, because I hadn't practiced doing him like remote control, because I only had like when I walked down the stairs to go get him, because what I had rehearsed was just that bit, doing it with the remote. All the other stuff in the beginning was like I said, like 4 days before. So I had to rehearse like having Dale like this, because originally he wasn't even supposed to be out like that. So it was just a whole like turnaround and a whole learning curve. But that's the business. I feel like if you want to, do well, or just present a good product, you got to like adjust really quickly.
Absolutely, and not just that, not just three voices. You added two additional voices, Simon himself and former President Obama. So why you decided to go with this? I know Simon is obvious, but President Obama was like so random.
Yeah, I always felt like I never claimed to be an impressionist, but I thought it would be kind of a fun, take on just ventriloquism. I've never seen that done before, and I know that like they like to see things that. So I thought it'd be just fun to add it. The Simon impression, they were like, "Oh, can you learn Simon in like a few months?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll try to learn Simon." I was like, "I already know I can do this Obama impression," because I had that was like the one impression that I could do like throughout high school, and even now I was like I could do Obama a little bit, and then the Simon thing was just like a thing they wanted me to add, so I was like I'll do the Simon, and then just do the one I know.
And that got him in saying, you got his second standing ovation from him.
Yes, I think that's the great thing about doing the show is I feel like I always really respected Simon a lot as a judge, just because I feel like I grew up watching him, with my parents on American Idol, X Factor, all those shows. America, when he started to go back on America's Got Talent, and just to have his approval and just him being very kind was awesome. I mean, for the first audition, after I had gotten off stage and went to the post interview room, he actually came in and talked to me and just congratulated me off camera, and that was like really really cool, just to talk to him like not even on camera, just like one to one, have a conversation. That was probably the most surreal part. It wasn't even being on the stage or anything like that. It was him like coming into this room randomly and talking to me.
Simon only, and like here's the thing, they only do it with the Golden Buzzer acts, and I'm just in awe that you got the opportunity to have the chance to have a one on one with him.
Oh yeah, it was really really cool. He seems like a really knowledgeable guy. Like he's very knowledgeable, and I'm just glad that he liked it both times around, and that I got both those standing ovations. That was really really cool.
Awesome. So you got nominated by top five. I wish you were in the final. I'm going to be honest.
Thank
But what
you.
did that mean that America voted you in as part of this top five?
It meant everything. I mean, like, just I didn't even know I had that much support because this competition was really like stiff for sure. Like, I mean, the Harper was really fun and she was really different and good at what she does. And being up against her and all those other guys, it, I was like, oh, I could go either way. I knew I had a lot of supporters in Indiana, where I'm from, and I knew that they were going to be voting like crazy. And the ventriloquist community too is a big community. So even to just be into the top five was a big success for me. I mean, that like look on my face when I when they revealed that I got it was so like real and genuine because I didn't really expect it. Like anything in these shows, you don't really expect anything. I don't even know if you expect it to go well. You don't expect it to, it's all like you're kind of just going along with it and you're just trying to do the best you can, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I gotta say, because there is a show, a spinoff of Got Talent that I've been waiting a long time for to come back. It's Champions. So if you
Yes.
had the opportunity to say, okay, we want to bring back champion, if they announced they were going to bring back Champions, and producers asked if you want to compete for your second chance or do a second chance spinoff, would you be interested in returning?
Yeah, I would be interested in returning. I think that I would even be interested in going on Britain's Got Talent just to switch it up. I think it'd be fun just to do something different. I would, if I did return, I would do something completely different than what I've been doing. As much as I think doing these kind of big tricks on stage, it's perfect for America's Got Talent. I would want to kind of switch it up and maybe only go the joke route, because I think that that's the thing I took away from being on AGT was I think the audience, they like the tricks, they like being different, but nothing just beats just being funny. And so that's kind of what I would go into it doing, is just being funny. Like, how can I make these people laugh with this dynamic between this character and I? And I think that would be pretty different. I don't think I've seen a ventriloquist just do comedy. There seems to be always like some sort of other thing as well. So I think that that would be my strategy if I went back into it.
I think that's a fabulous strategy because it reminds me so much of Mark Spellman, who's a magician and also known as X.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know. I think it was like I said, I told everybody if I was to do, like this, having Foster there and doing all these kind of crazy things, you have to do it on America's Got Talent. There's no other place. If you want to go big, it's like you should go big there for sure.
And absolutely not just to mention that you could also be part of the second U.S. invasion of Britain's Got Talent because Lauren Allred did a fabulous job when she was
Yeah,
on Britain's Got Talent earlier this year, and she actually improved upon her time on The Voice.
yeah, it's crazy because I know there's this one kid who I talked to on Instagram. He's a ventriloquist. His name's Jamie. I think he came in second.
Oh
Um,
yes, he was fabulous. He has a bright future as well. Like I gotta say,
yeah, he was really funny and super. Yes, just seemed like a super kind like kid. So he's got a big future if he keeps like going on this track. Because like just how funny, like to be at that age and to be like on such a scale that big is crazy. Like it's so much pressure. I couldn't even imagine doing it as a kid.
absolutely. He reminds. Every time when I tweet or do a YouTube comment on the Britain's Got Talent channel, I told everyone he reminds me a lot of the UK version of Darcy Lynn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting because he also, I like I said, he does mostly jokes, and I like that, because I think that's something I would do. I'm like taking notice from this kid. I'm like, oh, I got to be like this kid.
Alrighty, so what were some of the lessons that you learned from your AGT experience that helped you grow as a performer?
Wow, so many lessons. I think not to like get in your head too much, to realize like, oh, you're here for a reason, and to just have really good stage presence. I also learned, a lot of like things that I wish I would have done on that performance. Like I really, because when you're going through it, you're not really thinking of just like the basic kind of stuff. Like in my first performance, I think I super like well rounded, and I had like the voices down, everything down, because I just was kind of thinking of all that. With this second one, I was really thinking about the technical thing of like, oh man, I hope this robotic doesn't mess up. I hope I get the movement right. And I was like, man, if I could go back in time, I would have really wanted to focus more on the voices, because that was like something like watching it back where I was like, man, I really wish I would have had the voices just more distinct. And that was one of Heidi's notes that I really agreed with her on, because they're supposed to be like critical, and I wasn't like upset or anything at it, because I genuinely agreed with her, because I was like, now next time going into any other performance, that's going to be such a big like thing for me, because even though a lot of the audience doesn't like notice something like that, it's something that I definitely noticed too watching it back. And yeah, like things like that, and just honestly just like having fun. I even what they say or not, if the audience is having a really good time, that's really what I cared about most. I mean, there was moments in that performance when the audience was just going so crazy that I would have to like talk over them, so like there'd be moments where I'd have Foster just being like okay, because they're just like, and I'm like, I'm thinking about, okay, I have to make this time, before like, Terry goes to the commercial or whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I do not want to get on Terry Cruz's bad side.
no, and he's honestly what was one of the nicest like people that I interacted with, or he also, like Simon, was very like genuinely interested in the acts, and he's just very like, he seems like he loves his job a lot, which is really cool.
And it's amazing to see, because we've had some hosts that have been fabulous. We've had some folks that have been okay. And then there's Terry, who's actually elevated the Cowell era of AGT.
Yeah, no, he's like, super, just I would say just super nice. I mean, even during like, because I think it's known that people, we rehearse for the semifinals, like there's like rehearsals or whatever, and even during the rehearsals, he is just so genuine, and as far as like talking to you about your act or anything that you film with him, like off camera, he's not just ignoring you, like he's talking to you and being like genuine, and not just like some celebrity who thinks that they're too good for like somebody off camera.
Which is a shame about that, because there's been lots of rumor reports, and I'm not saying names.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like I definitely experienced that in some sort of fashion when I was a kid, like not when I was on this season, but I won't go into details, but I agree with you on that for sure.
Alrighty, so I want to talk to you about character development, because you created Foster and also Dale. So how long does it take you to develop a character?
A long time. I mean, that was the thing with Foster. He's probably like a 3-year-old, like developed character. With Dale, that was like a new addition that they wanted me to add, as far as like having a new element to the act. So that Dale was only like 4 months old, and it was his name was different too. Like a few days before the show, he was named Jello, and
Really?
because the copyright and the company, the producer said I couldn't use it, so I had to change his name like literally like a couple days before the performance. So it just changed to Dale. It's like, Dale's a good human name. So yeah, that was kind of fun. that's something I like. I always prefer to be work with characters that I'm used to working with, because I actually had a different character that I was going to use, but they just wanted something more like a soft puppet, more of like a, like a kid friendly kind of like Muppet style character, not like a dummy that's gonna like scare everybody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if you look back into the past history of Got Talent Ventriloquist, you could instantly recognize there's you and Foster, there's
Yeah.
Darcy Lynn and Petunia, there's Paul Zerden and Stevie, the baby,
Yes.
and Stewie, and of course there's Terry and Winston.
Yes. No, I think Terry had that like awesome, run on America's Got Talent. And I think he really, kind of like set that standard as how like far you can go really as a ventriloquist. Because if I'm remembering correctly, I think in like 2010 or 2008, he got this huge deal at the Mirage, and he's just, I think him and Jeff Dunham are probably the two most successful of all time. And I always say, I think Terry's got the best like technicality as far as like not moving his mouth and how he can produce those voices. So it's kind of just crazy to see if you look at those old videos of how good he actually was.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Terry Fader was basically, once he had the Vegas deal, I think he became at the same level that Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood were for Idol.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Once he got that deal, even now you go to Vegas, his face is everywhere on like buses, billboards. He's basically, yeah, like the one of the kings like of Vegas. It's like a staple of Vegas. You go there, you see the Blue Man Group, Terry Fader. Yeah, he's definitely made his name in Vegas. I would love to be a part of the Luxor show in Vegas. I'm not sure. I think they have semifinalists on that show. I think so. I don't know, but
I do see that because I remember that they do have, I believe Silhouette was one of the semifinalists, and I gotta say, or actually runner up, but like the thing is, I think what makes AGT so great is you
yeah,
can rotate in past, because I've been like begging them to bring in past, like Barbara Badillo and Cody Lee would be a phenomenal duet.
yeah,
And in
yeah.
having you and then maybe for a time, I would love to see Leah work her quick change on you and Foster.
Yeah, no, that would be so much fun. Yeah, I love the idea of kind of just doing a show like that. There's so many endless possibilities, so as far as like how much talent you actually see in a show like that. Because it seems, I haven't seen the show, but it seems like the closest thing to the live shows as you could get. The thing about the live shows though is just the energy in the room. Like you can feel like, during the semifinals, like, before and after everybody's performance, when we're all in that room together, you could just feel like the energy is crazy. And the day of the results day, I just remember there was a total like switch of energy in the room. It was like went from seeming very, very intense and like kind of pressure like before you go on. And then the results day, everyone was like relaxed, having a good time because it was over. Like the performance was done.
I'm actually surprised that you said that, because the thing is, I would thought it'd be reverse because
No.
oh wow.
Yeah, no, like I think everyone was just so nervous to go on, because it's kind of like that moment where it's like you haven't done it in a while. You're gonna have to go back up and do it. The stakes are way higher. People know how like the level of the competition of the show this year is crazy. And it's like we see the act, so you see what you're going up against before you do it. So it's like when you see an act like metaphysics do the rehearsal, you're like, wow, this is crazy. You know what I mean? You're like, wow, this is crazy. And then you have to like follow that. So yeah, it was definitely intense. And then I think when everyone was done, um, it was really just a relief. It seemed like a big relief, and I'm just happy that I'm not a singer, because it seemed like it seems like the singers had to deal with a lot of like technical stuff with like the music being too loud or like how it matched with their voices. And I'm glad all I had to do is go out and just not move my mouth.
I agree too, because
Yeah.
it's very tough with those singers, because You have not like, especially over the past couple of years, not just with Cody Lee, but I'm talking about Angel City Corral and Jimmy Harad and Christina Ray. Those people, holy cow! And I'm like, this year I was so proud of Chapel Hart and Drake as well.
Yeah, yeah. I remember they were actually in my first audition. I know they split it up into a different episode, but the Chapel Heart was actually they auditioned the same day as my first audition, and so I got to see them perform and get the golden buzzer that day, and that was crazy because you know like I just remember I was like backstage watching that and I was like, wow, it's so crazy because I didn't even, a lot of the time you just are in these waiting rooms and you see these people, sitting around. You don't even know what they do until like they go on stage and do it. And so it's just crazy. Like, oh, I just saw these people like, just sitting there and now they just got this golden buzzer. That's crazy.
Awesome. So I want to talk to you about TikTok because TikTok is something I've been avoiding. So
Yeah.
I would love to learn how you and your team build that strategy to get to that 1.2 million TikTok followers.
Yeah. I mean, what's so funny is I think like without TikTok, I wouldn't even be on America's Got Talent because it just really like elevated me to being a better ventriloquist. I originally started just to see if I could have success on some sort of app because I tried doing the YouTube thing. It didn't really work out, but then I liked TikTok because I could just turn it. I hate editing videos, so I like that I could just turn it on and just do one really good take and then put it out there. So I really started only like in last May is when I started doing TikTok. Like I had no followers from like May to like, so in the span of like less than I hit a million in under a year. I think it was like 7 months in total. But it's really weird how TikTok works because like from May to I want to say like November, early November, late September, I hit 100K, and then from November to January, I hit a million. So in that short period of time, it's like I just like shot up in viewers, and it was such a huge like that's the thing I tell people to do TikTok all the time because you can really hit numbers that you wouldn't even dream of. I mean, it literally felt like, kind of like America's Got Talent. I mean, there was one day where I think I got like 200,000 followers in a day, like in a single day. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And it's all about trends too. So I just kept seeing that videos would do well, and then I would do a follow-up video on that trend and do more and more and more. And I was kind of like riding that wave, and then that's when America's Got Talent came along, and I decided to kind of put all my energy into that. So I wasn't like my whole time this half of this year I haven't been posting as much as I did last year because I'm like I need to like buckle down, focus on this live performance because this is a whole different animal.
I totally agree because, like with social media is one thing, but a live audience with camera that goes into millions of homes around the country, plus YouTube all around the world, if you count around the world and Peacock, that's a different animal.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is something I'll, is kind of funny. I'll say on the record like it was funny because in my package that they played before I went on and did my performance, they had said that I had only performed like they cut out a part where I said, I've this is my second time performing in front of an audience this big, and they cut out me saying this big. So I only said this is my second time performing in front of an audience. So I thought that was like kind of odd that they cut that out. I don't know why they did that because they know I've been performing like since I was like 12, like in front of like audiences. But maybe I don't know. Maybe they just did it to make it seem like I was just really good or something like that.
I gotta tell you, in this by production, you are one of the most incredible performers I have seen in the Simon era of
Oh,
variety.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was honestly a dream. And I'm super excited for my act in the future. Like, I think what I'm writing right now as far as like a show is going to be kind of a mix of what I've done on America's Got Talent with Foster and all like new stuff. So I'm super excited to just go out and start doing that and put it on film and then hopefully release like a good quality video on YouTube. That's like my up and coming stuff that I've got going on.
Absolutely. Well, you got to come back to talk about that video. I would love
Oh,
to.
for sure, man. It's gonna be wild. Like I think if you think America's Got Talent, I think is just the beginning. I'm super excited. Like obviously it's being on the show is like a dream come true. It's honestly like for ventriloquists at least, it's like the holy grail for ventriloquists. So just the fact that I made it this far and I'm happy that Celia, she made it into the final. I think she's an amazing ventriloquist as well. She's only been doing it for 2 years, but she's insanely good as far as like technicality goes. So and that was also an interesting dynamic too. I think this year is I don't think any other year they've had two ventriloquists competing simultaneously. So I was like, okay, this is like a little bit of a challenge, it's going to make me up my game a little bit. And, she's been super sweet and it's been awesome to have, another ventriloquist in the competition as well.
And here's the thing: if they can have two magicians in the final, they can surely
Exactly.
have two ventriloquists in the final.
That's what I was saying too, because you see some of the magicians and they almost do the exact same trick. Like
And you and Celia do two different items.
completely different, completely. And that's why, I am a fan of Howie. But I just thought it was, interesting when he was like, giving me his feedback on the semifinal. And I appreciate all their feedback and stuff. But I just thought it was interesting saying like, oh, I thought like what she did was more original, but I'm thinking like, we're totally different, like you want me to sing and you know what I mean and not have a puppet.
She's an opera singer. She's a former opera singer, and you are a comedian.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I want to do as far as like, you know, be different and moving forward is just being funny. Yeah, like you said, just being a comedian, well, who happens to have a puppet by his side.
Absolutely. So we got to start winding down our conversation. So if you had the opportunity to meet with fellow ventriloquists who want to audition for season 18 of AGT, what advice would you share with them?
Wow, I would say do like it's this is like the big leagues of anything. So you just can't let the nerves get to you. I would say use the nerves to excite you. Don't think of it as a competition. Just think of it as you're going out there, you're doing what you love, and you want to have make the audience have a good time and laugh. But always like remember to be uh, good as far as like technicality because people notice it and just have a good time. That's my main thing is like if you're lucky enough to even be on the show and have your audition air out of the 100,000 people that audition, you're very very lucky because even to have your audition air, even if you don't make it to the semifinals, just the fact that your audition aired is a big because a lot of people audition for that show and their episode just doesn't even air. So like to even be in that category, you're extremely lucky. So it's all it's like they say, it's like when hard work meets preparation. Is before my initial thing, I audition, I probably rehearsed that 3-minute act like 7 times a day at least, maybe more. And so I'd film it over and over again. So it's just practice as much as you can.
My father always comes up with a 5P rule called proper preparation prevents poor performance, or in AGT case, proper preparation prevents getting a buzzer.
Exactly. You don't getting buzzed seems I'm glad that it never happened to me. I'm glad that I went throughout going because I don't know. I have a very like I show my emotions on my face. So I'm glad that I never got buzzed and that never happened. I'm glad it was just like little criticisms here and there. And Simon liked me all the way through. So I like that's a win right there.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So final question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Where can my audience connect with you on social media? And also, if you do, and where can I find information if you're going to have your talk, if you want to promote the show?
Yeah, so everyone, my main social is obviously going to be on TikTok. It's Puppet Jack underscore, all lowercase letters, Puppet Jack with an underscore. I'm going to be posting more videos, posting different kind of content, and Instagram is where I'm going to post all of my show updates. I have a link tree on my Instagram and my TikTok, so I'll be posting all that stuff soon. Right now, I don't have any dates because I'm currently writing and rehearsing that long form act that I'm gonna get out there. So yeah, you guys can follow me on Puppet Jack.
All right, Jack. So, guys, if you missed an episode of the Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our audio channels on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And Jack, jakes.shake.com, the website that started everything. It's turned 11 this year.
Wow, happy birthday! 11 years old. I mean, that's definitely a milestone. So much great talent has come through America's Got Talent in those 11 years, and I think this year, this finale was really, really good. When I watched it last night, I think if I were to pick the winner, I would say it's probably I would say the Mayas because they've just they're like a real show. Like the show is just that's what I would go see in Vegas. I feel like if I had to pick an act, I'm like the Mayas are just like a spectacle.
Absolutely, guys. So, guys, just to let you know, this podcast is pre recorded, so you'll find out in October if Jack is right or not. So, do that. So, guys, thank you so much, Jack. You are welcome anytime back here on this podcast.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me.
You're alrighty. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.